Aloha kakahiaka kako. Eva minuke I ka hala o ka, I hala o ka hola Eva. Ma umikumaiwa iune o iune I ka makahiki e lua kaukani iwa ka lua kumalima. E olu mai e ho'omalu ke Kōmike Aloha ʻāina. O wau o Keani Rollins Fernandez, ka luna ho'omalu o keia Kōmike. It is 9:09 on June 19th, 2025. Will the Kōmike Aloha ʻāina please come to order? I'm your chair, Keani Rollins Fernandez. There are currently no testifiers at the Molokai District Office. And today is Juneteenth, a federal holiday in the U.S. It's celebrated annually on June 19th to commemorate the end of the practice of Americans enslaving Africans and their descendants for their entire life for profit for their lifetime of enslavement, even after it was made illegal in the United States. Today we have with us Committee Vice Chair Tamara Paulton. Aloha.
Aloha kakayaka kako. I'm gonna need to step out at about 9:45 to take my keiki to the kauka, but I can be mobile.
Okay. Mahalo. And then from Kihei, we have with us Committee Member Tom Cook.
Aloha, Chair and Committee. Good morning. I am in the Kihei Regional Office this morning. We currently have no testifiers, and I'm looking forward to your meeting. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Committee Member Tasha Kama is excused. And we have with us in the chamber, Council Chair Alice Lee. Aloha.
Aloha, Chair.
Aloha. And I think in Hana, we have with us Committee Member Shane Sanensi.
Aloha kakayaka kako, mai mau I hikina, ia wau maʻane I koʻu lume halawai. Mahalo, and no testifiers in Hana, Chair.
Mahalo. And I believe in Kula, we have with us Committee Member Yukile Sugimura, and I do have in my notes that you requested to be excused at 10:30.
So good morning, everybody. Aloha, and I'm in Kula doing this meeting, and yes, I have another meeting to attend, so thank you.
Mahalo. And we have two non-voting committee members, Councilmember Gabe Johnson and Councilmember Nohelani U'uhajins, who are always welcome to join us. From the administration, we have with us from the Department of OEV Resources, Director Kapona Ai Molitau. Aloha.
Ai velina mai ke aloha iau ko apau. Aloha.
Aloha. And Deputy Director Kekai Robinson.
Ai aloha kakahiaka.
And when we get to the item, I'll invite you to introduce everyone, the whole team's here. And, it looks like, okay, over there. And then from the Department of Corporation Counsel, we have with us Deputy Corporation Counsel Christy Trenholm. Aloha. And later from the Department of Management, we'll have joining us Managing Director Josiah Nishita. Today, our committee staff, we have Committee Secretary Lorianne Tengan, Senior Legislative Analyst Casey Alpo Takayama, Legislative Analyst Kirsten Sabo, Legislative Analyst Tiare Del Castillo, Legislative Attorney Megan Moniz, and Council Services Assistant Clerk Lei Deneen. We have two items on today's agenda: Department of OEV Resources Strategic Plan and Maui County's transition to a bilingual government. Since these are both 70B presentations with no legislative action, we will jump straight into the presentations for each item before receiving testimony. Okay, so let's see. For the first item, the Department of OEV Resources Strategic Plan presentation. The Department of OEV Resources was established by charter on July 1st, 2024. We appropriated funding in the fiscal year 2025 to support the department in conducting a strategic plan to guide their way forward. The Department of OEV Resources quickly contracted the work out and completed their plan within the time frame, or even quicker. On February 6, 2025, Ka'a discussed the development of a strategic plan, and I'm happy to invite the department to present their five-year plan today. So joining us for this item are director and deputy director, as well as their team. And if there are no objections, I would like to designate Director Molitao, Deputy Director Robinson, and anyone else that they invite from their team to speak, and the administration personnel identified as resource persons in accordance with Rules 18A of the Rules of the Council.
No objections.
No objections.
Mahalo, everyone. Okay, we'll proceed in this order. Deputy or Director Molitao from Department of OEV Resources, and if Corporation Council has any opening remarks? No, okay, we'll just do the department, okay. Okay, so Director Molitao, aloha.
Ai veli no mai ke aloha. E tu e manu e ia loa kune te pule a kalau kuli a kalani ia ul ia namu ia nau e nehi luna ka nehi lalo ka a kau ta he ma ku ma ka ni i kalani he kili ka a ka ai kalani hau ila nui ma ke ai kalani pa ne kalani e o la ke kana kai o mai kalo e a kai ke kamana ia e ka honwala wa hala wali i ka hiwai ho i ka ua o le elo hai eli tau mai mama ua noi Elina mai ki aloha i o ko a pau o i hono ka pono ai Molitau ke po o kumu ai wai o iwi ke mahalo palena ole no ke ako kona me ia kako a pau i ke ia kakai ka nani loa nei. E ana na e ko mako hui ana e pili ani ko kako hoi ke ana i ka ke ia pala nei o ia hoi ka strategic plan. Ano leila ke mahalo palena ole no ke ako kona mei. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing us, the team of Department of OEV Resources, to be here. I am Kapono Molitao, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Director of the Department of OEV Resources. And we are humbled to present the 2025 to 2030 strategic plan to you. And thank you for having us. Here sitting with me, I have Deputy Director Kikai Robinson. We also have with our team our two language specialists, Hawaiian language specialists, Kahiala Nikolialo and Kapa Ravel. We also have on our team, seated here is our ʻāina advocate, Kaiea Maderas, as well as our grant coordinator, Amira Lagayo, correct? Limayo, Kalamai. And we are here to go ahead and pipe and support one another as we go through this particular ho'ike to all of you. There provided for you was the QR code for the strategic plan for those that needed it. The table of contents really is to get an introduction for all of you folks to make sure that you understand who our staff is, our department overview, our OEV mission, our divisions, our goals and objectives, and finally our conclusion, followed by any questions. We start with a olelo no eo, and it reads, Oia ki kahua e kua i ka oihana. Ki ala ia e pono i ke kanaka me ka ʻāina o ke kalana. And this is really a strategic plan that builds upon foundation. It serves as the kahua or the foundation, the stones upon which our department itself will stand. Moving forward, this approach will empower the Maui County to make informed decisions that protect, perpetuate its indigenous resources, enhancing community well-being, cultural vitality, and environmental sustainability for the benefit of all residents. Our department overview, our Oihana Kumuwaiwai OEV, is established to provide cultural stewardship, guidance, and advocacy for Maui County's indigenous resources. wanted to stop right there and let you know that that is really the kahua, or the fundamental component for why this particular department exists in our eyes, is to make sure that we become the voices for those that don't have voices. And the definition for OEV, because we have this particular conversation with folks. Aloha, we are from the Department of OEV. People think it's an acronym, and so we have to give them the definition. The OEV resources encompasses all elements of the universe observed, remembered, and cared for, from the lofty layers of the heavens to the verdant lands and the depths of the ocean, embodying the physical, spiritual, and genealogical ties that sustain and define Kanaka. And when we give that particular OEV definition to folks that we introduce ourselves to, it opens themselves up to quite a bit more of dialogue and questions about our department. Quickly about our framework. Here is one I think that everybody understands, that our ocean does not divide us, but it connects us. And our Kanaka Maoli ancestors for generations have relied upon the ocean as a source of food, navigation, building communities and relationships. So making sure that this becomes a framework that encompasses all of Maui Nui is really something that we treasure here at this department. We want to make sure that our mission is always to uphold and advance the rights and responsibilities and stewardships of OEV resources, ensuring their protection, sustainability, and integration into governance, community practices for the benefit of present and future generations. That's really a big lift for our mission for the Department of OEV. But we think we're doing a pretty darn good job in this first year being stood up. Kikai?
Mahalo. Ai mahalo. From our very first day here as the Department of OEV Resources, when we were just a party of two, we thought about what kind of kuleana was handed to us through the work that has been done before us, and what kind of kuleana do we have as we look out into the community and what our community needs. And so this is not the first time that the Department of OEV Resources has presented on our three main goals, our three main objectives, and our three departmental divisions, Kipuka, Kumuwaiola, and Paikaleo. In our Kipuka, we understand that safeguarding and stewarding lands of concentrated natural and cultural importance, being able to provide our decision makers, our lawmakers, with good information from an OEV lens, from an archaeology, anthropology lens as well, combining the two so it's exponentially more powerful, and our decision makers can make good decisions when it comes to ʻāina, when it comes to OEV, and the resources that sustain our community. In Kumuwaiola is championing the life-giving, sustaining elements of the natural world. Our wai, our ʻāina, our kai, our lani, our iwi, and all of the land stewards, all of the caretakers of these life-giving resources, taking care of them, uplifting them, and in their servantship of the community. And Paikaleo, which this council, this administration is moving forward, and we'll talk a little bit about Paikaleo and how that is happening. But we're excited that there has been really significant movement and progress to empower and uplift Native Hawaiian voices and to reinvigorate the use of Olelo Hawaii, specifically in government. And very appreciative to those who came before us and set up the framework for this day and this time to come around.
We'll share a little story real quickly. About 5 months ago, there were 5 manu alala that were released into the Kahikinui Reserve area And we were very fortunate to be a part of that blessing to help conduct the release and the pule for that. And knowing that we were just a very young stood-up department, it was important for us to lend that voice to those same juveniles of Manu Alala so that they would have a great send-off. And I bring this story to you because we just got an email last week that the pairing, a male and a female, just laid their first set of eggs, Manu Alala on Maui, which tells me that our hulu kupuna are thriving. And so within the kumu waiola and within the kipuka, if we give our elements an opportunity to thrive, and we give our natural elements the framework to thrive, they will. So does the opposite of that happen. If we don't allow for that to happen, then they don't have the opportunity to thrive. So I wanted to share that because we are kind of like that fledgling Manu Alala, where we've stood up our particular department, and we are now laying the foundational pieces for it to move forward. We're really excited for that ohana. Hopefully everything will tend to holomua.
Amen. So through our strategic plan process, we've identified with our community, with everyone who participated in the process and engaged with the Department of OEV and our strategic planners, these 5 goals and objectives. And we'll go through each of them one by one and give you some specifics as far as, each of these goals that the department is going to be focusing on for the next 5 years, for the next 200 years, really. Goal 1, our Loina Hawaii, or protocols for cultural stewardship. And it reads, reestablish OEV perspective and narrative in governance processes and OEV resource stewardship. So some of the specifics include supporting bilingual government initiatives, supporting our fellow county departments with cultural sensitivity training, in recognizing ʻāina that is of special cultural importance, to strengthen the pilina between the county and their understanding of ancestral burial sites and appropriate protocol for access, uplifting the appropriate use of place names. And I think that's something that is important to our entire community, blessing and pule as foundational practice, and to empower our cultural leaders, our colleagues as practitioners across Maui Nui to go ahead and execute cultural protocol as appropriate. Yeah.
In our goal number 2, ku kala kaiaulu, this particular regular community touchpoint goal creates systems of communication between the community and our department. We are very open and making sure that this is an important component for not only our community, but for our Maui County and all of the other departments to make sure that there is open communication and dialogue. So these are some of the touch points that we have. Newsletters and website updates to provide transparency on initiatives, community engagements through workshops and community forums and meetings, Native Hawaiian resources and ʻāina organization networking and centralizing directors for cultural stewardships. Really important that we have this kamaʻilio or conversation piece as a foundational component for all of us to be able to lift up each other.
Goal 3 is one of our biggest priorities and focus. You will see at the top there that it indicates the halau OEV arts and providing dedicated spaces for cultural learning. And it doesn't have to be necessarily only physical building spaces, but we're also looking at ʻāina, reconnecting our residents and our visitors to cultural practices, language, and values. So we're very excited for the halau OEV arts. I think it will be a centralized area where our community can gather, our community of hula, our community of arts and culture practitioners to share from. Education and community empowerment as a goal for us, I believe, is going to be so important in how we move forward and have the framework of our department, priorities, what we focus on. I go.
Kahewaiola, our goal number 4, grants and funding opportunities. A very exciting piece for the Department of OEV, creating grant and funding opportunities and strategic partnerships with the purpose of preserving and stewarding the OEV resources of Maui County. This year, being stood up for the first time, we had grant resources that we started to administer, and we did our first round of that. We're very proud of this particular engagement with our community. Within this particular grant application period, we received about 25 grant applicants that we were able to go ahead and go through, and 9 recipients this year were part of the first year of funding for this particular grant opportunity. Now, all of the grant opportunity for Maui Nui stretches out from the island of Molokai all the way up to Hana and here in Maui County, or Maui Central. We're very, very excited to see some of the outcomes of that, and we look forward to expanding on this kahewaiola for our community to move forward.
Goal 5 and our last goal, He ali'i ka ʻāina. It goes with much respect. This olelo no eau in its entirety is He ali'i ka ʻāina, he kaua ke kanaka. We are but the servants of our ʻāina. And so establish processes for natural resource advocacy. And we mahalo the council and the mayor for allowing for us to have an advocate in our department. But when we look at this, it's some legislation to protect culturally important ʻāina here across Maui Nui, protect these spaces and establish specific protocols for access. Also, looking at the legislation that we need to protect intellectual rights of Kanaka Oiwi, as well as ʻāina and responsible ʻāina stewardship. Sacred source advocacy is really important, but to recognize the elements of our natural world as sacred sources worthy of rights of nature protection. So that's something that we hope to work towards in the next 5 years.
And so really quickly, we wanted to take the opportunity to say mahalo to this council for allowing us to be able to finalize this particular strategic plan, which is, there's a hard copy for you as well. It's part of your Granicus. And if you have any questions, we are more than happy to answer them.
Beautiful. Mahalo. Okay, and ho'omaikai on getting this done. All right, well, before I open it up for questions from the members, we'll receive any testimony on this item. Testifiers wanting to provide testimony should sign up in the chamber lobby, join the online meeting via tiny URL link to connect to the Zoom meeting, or call into the phone number and enter the meeting code noted on today's agenda. Written testimony can be submitted via e-comment link at mauicounty.us/agendas. For individuals wishing to testify via Zoom, please use the raise hand function by clicking the raise your hand button on the bottom bar. Staff will ask you to enable the microphone and video prior to your turn to testify. You can unmute yourself when you are called upon by clicking on the microphone and camera buttons in the lower left portion of the screen. For those calling in, please follow the prompts via phone. Press *9 to raise your hand. And when it is your turn to testify, press *6 to unmute. Staff will add names to the testifier list in the order testifiers sign up or raise their hands. For those on Zoom, staff will lower your hand once your name is added. I will then call the name you're logged in under or the last four digits of your phone number when it's your turn to testify. If you wish to testify anonymously, please notify staff. Otherwise, please state your name for the record at the beginning of the testimony. Oral testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Staff has been monitoring the individuals joining today's meeting by phone and by video, and we will do our best to take each person up in an orderly fashion. I'll now call on the first testifier. Okay, I'm opening the log. And our first testifier, and only testifier signed up right now, is Jen Mather. Okay. Oh, where'd she go? I saw her earlier. Ms. Mather?
Yeah, can you hear me? I don't think I can
Yes.
turn on my video, which is probably better because I'm in
No, we want to see your
Home
face.
Depot. Oh,
Can we-
but you don't want to see my back? Oh, okay, start my video. Okay, it's letting
Yes,
me
I
know.
want to see your storeroom. Thank you.
I'm at Home Depot, I'm so sorry.
Please
Hi,
proceed.
aloha, o kamohoi wau ka Jen Mather ko ino Pelikania. Sorry, I am in Home Depot, and I'm going to try to listen for the honk beep warning today. So sorry about yesterday. So testifying on the strat plan of the Office of OEV Resources, one of my ʻāina kupuna is actually Haneo'o, where our family local ia still feeds the people of Hanamoku. So it's nice to see it included in the pages of this document as the ʻāina where the sun first touches us here on Maui. So thank you to Director Kupono'ai and the Deputy Director, Robinson. That was a wonderful presentation and a great strat plan to be put in place. I think it also states in there that the Director of OEV Resources will work with the Director of Planning on the Cultural Resources Management Plan. I think this is really imperative, especially at this time, because this is the only document that at least I know of, and I don't know everything, that speaks directly to these types of resources, and it deals with more tangible things. And it was written in 1984, and then it was never updated. So if we could get it updated, that's wonderful. And then I know that the staff from the office are supposed to be at the commissions under the planning department, and I just want to make sure that they're there at the CRC meetings, because that and MPC is going to be the super heavy list for those volunteer commissions with the Lahaina rebuild. I believe that's ex officio by ordinance, if I heard Council Member Rollins Fernandez at one point state that. So good stuff there. I love the Kumu Waiola division will establish a repository for all of our cultural material. I sent a really long, crazy proposal to them about a repository a while back, and I keep bugging folks about it at budget, so yay. I think reminding people that these bullet points in the strat plan, though, are not exhaustive, right? That's really key. It's not only emergency events or ongoing desecration that unearths our cultural material, right? It's if we get every cultural resource firm that has cultural material that hasn't been returned to the ʻāina for whatever reason, they can send that to the repository for safekeeping and cataloging, etc. And then lastly, I really appreciate that this strat plan is going to gauge its success based on the pilina that it grows with other parts of our government, because all of those other parts, they try to steward our resources here on Maui, and in my humble opinion, that's all OEV kind things, right? Water, safety, planning, housing, human resources, public works, parks and recs, environmental management, every one of those things, those tangible, intangible things, that they're all OEV resources, and they stated that in their strat plan. So if they're able to have this guide, not only this OEV department, but lay the framework for other departments to understand how OEV resources is going to integrate in with the Kanaka paradigm that Deputy Director was talking about. That's super paramount to the success of these islands going forward, how we see them going forward. So yeah, I'm super proud of them. Thank you. And thank you for going out into the community and integrating all of that information that we sent to you into this. So I saw that. Yay. Honk beep. All right, mahalo nui.
Mahalo, Ms. Mather. Members, any questions for our first testifier? Okay, seeing none, we'll mahalo you for your testimony. Okay.
Mahalo.
Aloha. Next on our testifier list, we have Kai Nishiki.
Aloha, good morning,
Aloha.
Chair and Committee. Wonderful presentation, and very happy to hear that there is natural resource advocacy position, and just here to advocate for our shorelines and public access and responsible ʻāina stewardship, as was mentioned. I tuned in a little bit late, so I may not have heard if this department will be addressing or looking at coastal hazard mitigation. I think we can all understand that our shorelines and coastlines have incredible intrinsic value. However, with the Western thought process, it's very capitalistic, and so folks look at like what is the economic value, and so with coastal erosion and hazards, there is a market adjustment that is needed where our shorelines are actually, and all of the structures on them are changing from these incredible financial, they consider them an asset, and actually they are at this point unfunded liabilities. And so, our county looking into the future, we want to protect their intrinsic value to our community and to our culture, but also looking at the revenue generation and how the county needs to really look at how we are going to pivot away from relying on our shorelines for that monetary income that is coming off of them, and really return them to the public. And really our shorelines should be parks and open space and places of cultural reverence, and there just needs to be a switch on how we view our coastlines and who they're actually feeding. ʻāina is that which feeds. So who are they feeding? Are they feeding our souls and our culture and the needs of the community in the ways that they should be? So I would hope that this committee and this department could help to inform and educate folks on how valuable our coastlines are for themselves. Oh, Kōmike, sorry, I didn't hear anything. Pao.
No, not yet. You had like 10 seconds left. I was just showing you the time.
Okay.
You can have your 10 seconds back.
It's okay. I think you get the point. I could go on forever. Mahalo. Love our shorelines and our coastlines, and I just want them to get the attention that they deserve. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Ms. Nishiki. Members, any questions for our testifier? Okay, seeing none. Mahalo for your testimony today. Okay.
Bye.
Aloha. All right. That completes our list, and I know we have an individual in the chambers who would like to testify.
Aloha kakahiaka. Luna Omolu, Owens Fernandez, Oval JC Law, Kula Uko, Waiakoa Ahupua'a. You guys aren't going to believe this, but I actually having a hard time thinking of something to say because of the culture. I feel like I'm like not invading, but I'm like I'm in like a different class here. So, my ears are wide open and I'm trying to learn. So, welcome Department of Oiwi Resources to Ka Papahele Evalu, the 8th floor. And real quick, I thought of, I always use the analogy of being in a lifeboat. So all my life I was on a United States ship, and a dozen years ago I was forced to walk the plank. And there was an island, and I swam to it. Now, if you're catching the analogy, if you're floating around and you don't have a life jacket or anything, and there's an island, you don't care which island it is, you're just going to go to it. So I washed up on the shore here of Maui, and I really appreciate the Department of OEV Resources helping me out and teaching me the culture and stuff. So, yeah, that's about it. I just appreciate really a lot you guys being here. And don't get frustrated with me if I come by your office a little bit too much.
Mahalo, Mr. Law. Seeing no hands for questions, well, thank you for your testimony this morning. Okay, so I'll do a last call for testifiers. Anyone wishing to testify, you may unmute at this time and proceed with your testimony. Okay, hearing no one unmuting, any objections to closing public testimony? Members?
Objections?
Okay, mahalo. All right, I'll now open the floor to questions. I usually start with my committee vice chair. Okay. I know she's a little juggling, so we'll go to Member Tom Cook. Member Cook?
Thank you, Chair.
I'm not going to put a timer. I'll just let you folks ask the questions that you want to.
Okay. So my questions for Director, curious communication with Seaworm and how the interactivity of the department and resource management, water is foundational. So I'm just curious about how it's going and what the expectation is to be working with like Seaworm, which is kind of the deciding gateway for West Maui water and development. Thank you.
Kumu?
Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Councilmember Cook. It's an interesting, dynamic question. I think one of the things that we understand is we only have a finite resource of Vai. And I think collectively the discussions that we all agree upon is that that particular resource is important no matter where you're at, no matter if it's on West Maui, or if it's in East Maui, or if it's in Molokai, or Lanai. That particular Vai has to be cared for in a manner in which we care for our kupuna. I think that is first and foremost in all of the conversations that we've had. In terms of managing that particular resource, I am not very familiar in the entirety of how their management practices work. We are currently working on strategic plans on how we develop intellectual, cultural responsibilities about management practices and allowing that to be upheld in their own discussions and how we can help move that forward. Again, my understanding of Vai is a complete different understanding of how Seaworm may look at it. I look at it from a cultural, holistic standpoint in terms of where Vai originates from, where Vai Kahe goes into, where Vai becomes part of the Puna Vai, and from the Kiki Vai, it brings us the water that we need to sustain ourselves. Now that amount of time takes quite a bit of time to get there. And again, that resource is very finite. And when we run out of water, we never want to get to that point. So that is a collective thought that we all share, and how we can at the Department of OEV Resources lift the cultural mindset on how we care for Vai is our kuleana.
Thank you. I asked that question with really good heart because that's one of the, I see the department's intentions, and I see the challenges that we have for Maui County and for Maui and West Maui in particular, and striving to identify blend the cultural, scientific, economic, all of these different aspects. And anyway, I'm glad you're at the helm. And I've always been impressed so far with the department and where the intentions are. And I guess I just said that it's kind of a tough question, and I don't mean it to be intentionally a tough question. I was just like, that's something that I hope that we can all work together on, to cultivate the respect for the resource and also identify and accept the various needs for the resources and really collectively work together to manage it and be stewards. So thank you, Chair, and thank you, Director.
Mahalo, Member Cook. And I see our committee vice chair is ready for her turn.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director and Deputy Director. It's funny that Cook was asking about the water resources for West Maui. I was going to ask about your involvement as we move forward with the South Maui Community Plan.
Kuma.
Mahalo nui. Mahalo Chair, mahalo Councilmember Palmer Paulton for the question. I think I'm going to go ahead and turn this one over to Deputy Director to answer. She's been really involved in this particular document that is circulating for consideration, as well as our team of ʻōlelo Hawaii specialists that have been highly involved in making sure the document has its correct place names, correct glossary of index or ʻŌlelo Hawaii terms that are important for this particular document. Deputy Director.
Mahalo, thank you. Mahalo, Chair. Thank you for the question. For the South Maui Plan, I'm going to be very honest. It has been our first experience with working with community plan as a department from this lens, with the ability to affect what is, discussed, to be a part of the discussion and to be involved in that discussion. And so I really appreciate that. Part of our involvement was being present, and we have only been present since July. I know Central Maui Plan is coming up too. And so to be very honest, it has been our first experience in working with community, with county on a community plan, and realizing how important it is to driving what happens in our community and in those specific communities into the future. So for this very first opportunity, like Director shared, our kuleana basically fell to use of appropriate names for ʻāina, definition of that, and making sure that the document that was being published by the county, by the Planning Commission, didn't have any ʻŌlelo Hawaii faux pas, and didn't have any other kinds of, anything that we could give good guidance and advice on. We did. As far as getting into the meat of how things will be implemented, we are invested and committed to watching very closely how that happens in South Maui and contributing where we can. Mahalo.
Thank you. I wish we would have had that when we were doing West Maui. There were so many things we weren't 100% sure about, like, even spaces between Kamalu'ulu, Olele, and all of that. So stoked that you're here for us, a community for South Maui.
Mahalo, Committee Vice Chair Bolton. Okay, next, I'm going to follow my list so I don't miss anybody. And that would be Council Chair Lee, followed by Member Sinensi.
Okay. All right. I did have a question. I noticed that it's a beautiful plan you have. I didn't notice any timelines on there.
So when we, mahalo Chair, mahalo Council Member Chair Lee for the question. So when we first discussed this particular plan, we discussed with our contractor to make a plan that was, our timeline was 7 generations. And obviously from the Western standpoint of that, that is something that is unachievable.
Yeah, that's kind of how long it takes to get a permit in the county.
I'm gonna keep that one. Keep that one. That's a great one. But when we thought about it, it's that kind of thinking that we wanted to make sure that we laid as a foundational platform for this particular department. We didn't necessarily make any timelines for this particular strategic plan in terms of year 1, year 2 to this 5-year strategic plan. What you will notice is within some of our goals already, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we are in the thick of it currently. That allows for us to continue to navigate what that looks like and feels like for each of the departments that we integrate with. So in regards to like Loina Hawaii, which is goal number 1, that doesn't have a particular time frame for year 1 through 5 about developing protocols. It just exists. And so those existing protocols are one that we continue to help uplift, and we work where our departments are currently at. And so if some current departments are at a level that we know that they're meikai with or they're good with, then we can kind of enhance their ike or their kuana ike, as we call it, for other aspects of that Loina Hawaii. And so we look at that as part of our integration plan. It doesn't necessarily have a year or a set month that we're going to accomplish. I think what we're moving towards is our next step is for the integration plan of what we see for these 5 specific goals, and where we can see them in the 5, 10, 15-year mark. And really our benchmark for that is how we see the pilina or the relationships for everybody for all of these particular goals to get towards.
Okay, thank you, that's good. I just want to add that what Member Cook brought up is a very contentious issue that has no easy solutions, and West Maui is very limited because of their distance. So that's not, to me, that much of a divisive, issue there. I mean, to me, it's workable. But the rest of the island, for instance, South Maui, which is coming up, some people, especially in East Maui, don't want to share the water. I'm not talking about surface water. I'm not talking about the streams. I'm talking about groundwater. So, those are the kinds of issues and challenges we're going to come across. And I'm hoping that you can be prepared for it, because without water, we cannot have progress and we cannot have life. And I'm sure you know that. So anyway, and by the way, I haven't seen Kama around.
Mahalo, Chair Lee. Kama is busy being a 19-year-old young man.
Oh, okay.
Going holo holo and enjoying his summer.
That's good.
And then Kaehukai is just a recent graduate. So
Yeah.
he's
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
But in regards to that particular issue of Hawaii, and I didn't get a chance to say this to Member Cook, but I wanted to just kind of explain that when we look at our history of Hawaii and Waiola, it's this long, right, in our history of Hawaii. We are at a point in our time where we are considering Vai and how we manage it for this Mauna period. But we're not considering all of that kuana ike from time past. And so what we bring to the table is that amount of ike for us to consider. And if we take the amount of consideration of that brilliance of our kupuna from long ago on how they use water that helped to care for an island that saw thousands and thousands and thousands of residents prior to any plantation era, any consideration of what we have today. Then we need to really take a look at that ike because it's so important, it's so valuable that it allows for us to be able to navigate some of the answers that we may be looking for, but we're not even considering. So as Westerners, I would say that take a look at some of that amazing amount of intellect, ingenuity, and engineering feat that our kupuna thrived for thousands of years prior.
Okay, thank you.
Mahalo, Charlie. Okay, next is Member Sinensi, followed by Member Sugimura.
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo, Director Molitao and Deputy Robinson. Very visually stunning presentation and with the substance to match. I was gonna ask about, and I think Ms. Mather maybe touched upon it a little bit about the other departments kind of adopting the same type of cultural protocols, maybe the Loina Hawaii, particularly, those departments that may kind of have relationships or with Himea Hawaii. And that was one of the questions I asked the team when they met with all of us is that, and the mayor's office did move the archaeologists and some of the other, into the new Department of Oiwi Resources. So, what has the department gone to, or maybe looked at some of the other county departments that may have kind of a cultural aspect to it that we could also, like the archaeologists, move into the department?
Kumo?
Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Councilmember Sanensi. This is an exciting question for us because it allows for us to be able to integrate not only into our county departments, but also our partners in state. We'll give you an example right now that the collaborative efforts between our state burial council, our state land and natural resources, and our kuleana as our Department of Oiwi, how we care for very sensitive sites and how we care for our iwi kupuna. This collaborative effort could not have been achieved if it was not for the effort from both sides, from our County Department of Oiwi, allowing for the cultural practices and the intent for caring for such iwi kupuna, such sensitive sites, etc., as well as for folks that are here on Maui in the Burial Council, as well as those that are part of the LNR, to know that kuleana will rely on both achieving the best outcome for our iwi kupuna and our culturally sensitive sites. And so we're excited to be able to work with them. Also, I think that translates into the question about other county governments. I think it's the other way around. This Department of Oiwi is really the trendsetter, and I think it's been heard by other county departments that that there isn't one that is like it in any other county. And they look forward to at least seeing how this moves forward, how this unfolds for the County of Maui, and how this particular format could be utilized in their own county. We've already had calls from Hawaii County and folks that are part of that group to see how they can establish that. We had great communications with others from Kauai County as well. And then we look forward to having those collaborative conversations moving forward. I know Deputy Director gets an opportunity to go to different kinds of training programs, and so I'll let her explain a little bit about that, because I think it's really important for her to get over to the other moku to see how they're conducting themselves as well.
Mahalo. I wanted to acknowledge that this strat plan is a blend of what the thoughts of our department, as well as the community and our county department colleagues and counterparts. So appreciate everybody for participating in that. And that the strat plan has developed into kind of a way for us to acknowledge that OEV resources and OEV concerns and OEV perspectives are a part of every function of the county. And it should be every function of the county. Formally acknowledging that is so important. Are we trying to bite off more than we can chew? I don't think so. We're really trying to go slow, steady, and this strategic plan allows for that, to outline the priorities, and then from there continue to move forward with integrating OEV perspective and really inserting ourselves into where it's important to pay attention to OEV perspectives. And so I think when it comes to looking at how other departments, interface and engage with the OEV department, which I think was your question, is how are the other county departments and how are we engaging and how this can be of guidance. And so, yeah, it's gonna be ongoing work. It's gonna definitely be ongoing work for us to, work alongside other departments. But I do get the opportunity to learn more. I appreciate Managing Director for taking us on excursions so we can interface with other counties and other state entities. I see Member Cook shaking his head. They've been so informative and so educational. So I appreciate my director for allowing time for us to go ahead and, for me to go ahead and do that. So, ongoing work. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Member Sanensi. Member Sugimura.
Thank you, Chair. Nice to see you, and thank you for this good work and presentation. So in your presentation, Director, you mentioned there are grants that it sounds like you recently reviewed and you awarded the grants, and I wonder if you could give us a summary of what kind of grants they were and what you look forward to. It sounds like you were looking forward to seeing the outcomes, but whatever you can share.
Yeah.
Mahalo, Member Sugimura. Kumu.
Aye, mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Councilmember Yukile Sugimura. I'm going to have our amazing grant coordinator come up and talk to you a little bit about that question. She's so nervous right now coming up. But it allows for that question to be answered by those that take care of that kuleana. So, Helene, come.
I think one short thing that I could add, if that's okay, Kumo, is that the grantees that we looked at in this very first round had objectives and goals, events and opportunities that they steward and that ways that they serve the community that align with the department's divisions of Kipuka, Kumueola, and Paikaleo. And so,
Mahalo. Yeah, and I remember you folks giving us that list of awardees during budget session in the departmental request that we sent you, and then you responded, and we did get that information on the specific grants. So mahalo, and welcome to your first meeting.
Mahalo. Mahalo, magandang umaga, Chair. Magandang umaga, council members. Thank you. I humbly stand before you, sit before you. With years of experience in the grant world. Just a little bit about the grant process that we went through for the OEV grants. It's a competitive grant process that went out as a news bulletin to the different community organizations that applied. We received 25 applications. It was an outside grant panel of different community members, county staff that reviewed the grants of 5 panel reviewers, and we chose 9 outstanding different projects from community organizations that are currently being funded by the county grants, but also new grants that we look forward to just learning and connecting with the different community projects and learn more about how we can help through our department.
Basuma.
Okay, so I guess I was just wondering if you could, give us a little summary of the kinds of grants that you awarded. And I thought maybe you were doing new grants. You're saying that these are existing grants that were awarded from the OEV resource, and not really connected to the strategic planning philosophies.
My apologies. They are new grants. So we are focused on our 3 main divisions, the Kipuka, Kumu-Viola, and the Paikaleo. And they're different nonprofit organizations that care for the land, just different cultural resources. The Aloha Hawaiian language, we have 3 organizations from each of the divisions that were awarded the different grants.
Okay, thank you. And I in my email from April, I got this is regarding SHPT and a connection for SHPT and the time it takes to get answers from SHPT. I did refer it to Dr. Six for a response for a grading permit, and they're still waiting. And so they emailed me actually last night asking about, is there any way of expediting this? And I just wanted to take the opportunity to find out if you had any SHPT connections that could be of assistance.
Kumu.
Hi, mahalo. Thank you, Chair, for that. And then mahalo nui, Councilmember Yukile Sugimura for the question. I do remember having that email correspondence with you and Dr. Janet Six. I know that the response was in regards to her reaching out to Dr. Lebo about the grading permit. I haven't received any correspondence since then as well from Dr. Lebo in regards to that, but I will follow up.
Is that the primary contact for SHPT that we have?
I believe Dr. Lebo is the state archaeologist, and so she would be the one that would oversee the archaeology for SHPT.
Okay. All right. I thought maybe that there's another contact that I could reach out to instead of waiting, but okay. Thank you for your good work, and I know I see you often out in the community, and the work that you do, I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Member Sugimura. Okay, my turn. All right. So again, ho'omaikai, and mahalo for the presentation. Okay, so I don't think we have this the 1 year brochure or pamphlet uploaded, but this one has like the first year key goals for 2025 and 2026, and so we can get this one uploaded. I don't think we did, yeah. And so for the first year, and I'm looking through them, through all the bullets, and so many you folks have already hit or are in the process of. So that's amazing. And I know for the strategic plan, the 5 years, like more high level. And so for the first year for a timeline, at least for 2025, 2026, this one has dates on it. And then I know, mahalo for making it to Molokai. And I know you folks also went to Lanai. And when we talk story, one of the things that we talked about is, so in addition to county level strategic plan, talking story with the different moku and having more moku specific goals or vision. Would you share a little bit more about that?
Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Nui. Yes, we did speak about regional specific goals, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. You are absolutely right. This initial strategic plan is high level, kind of that first 5-year goals. And we really wanted to kind of just set the stage for what's coming up next. Kind of give us and the community and the administration and our legislators a little bit of a roadmap to where our minds are at when it comes to the way we will serve our community of Maui Nui. And so, you know, we look forward to we look forward to working with our community in those specific regions to see what their concerns are and how they align with the goals that we've established for the Department of OEV. Can we have anything to add about regional specifics? So we did take the time to go ahead and visit different districts across Maui Nui, learning so much. We went there to listen. We are definitely in a space where we can carry those concerns, uplift them in these spaces where decisions are made. But I think it comes first with a good understanding of what the community issues and challenges and successes are.
And I'll add a little bit about when we're thinking about our kaiaulu and our community, they're the ones that are going to lead that particular effort for us. And so when we think about areas such as, say, the island of Molokai, I think about expanding a department, at least presence there. And I think about having that presence because it should be led by that community and having someone that will be there to be able to hear the concerns, to uplift that community and the dynamics of our communications back and forth. I think that's important for every moku that we represent collectively. And I also believe that collective effort enhances the Department of OEV's outreach. It also enhances our OEV's ability to see the cultural intellect and the needs of that community collectively. So each kaiaulu is different and their needs are different and their desires as well as their concerns are different. And so I believe within this particular regional plan, I think the only area that we need to come out and come and visit is Councilmember Sanensi's ʻāina. We look forward to making that opportunity to get out there and listen to their community as well. So that is one of the main objectives, again, is to have a community-led presence within the Department of OEV and help that lead the next regional plans.
Mahalo. And then in your presentation, Heli ika ʻāina, servantship, and we often use stewardship. And I love that it said servantship. especially when we're talking about finite resources like water. And if a system is built to create scarcity, and it makes it even more finite, right? So the built-in infrastructure that's based on extraction, that poor environmental and ecosystem management, then we're gonna continue to promote and foster scarcity. And capitalism relies on scarcity. Scarcity drives up cost. Last night I attended the East Maui Water Authority's community water resource planning. And one kupuna talked about using our water to make more water, a future based on abundance, which is the opposite of scarcity. And it requires proper caretaking of the watershed, or ʻāina, because wells and transmission lines don't make water. Trees, foliage that gather water from the clouds and bring it down to the ʻāina. That's how we get water. And so I guess in choosing to put servantship in Hele ʻāina over stewardship, what were some of the things that you're hoping to communicate in choosing those words? Because we know that words have mana.
Mahalo, Chair. This particular Olelon servantship was given by our ʻāina advocate, Kai'ea Medeiros. That particular lens comes from a mahiai lens, comes from putting your hands into the ʻāina kilo, being able to observe, and then also being able to understand the dynamics of your surroundings and the seasonal changes that happen. When we think about servantship and we think about the kuleana of this particular conversation around vai, that's a huge one. That's a huge lift. That ike kupuna that was shared with last night by that one tutu or kupuna about allowing water to make more water, that is kuana ike. That is a style of cultural intellect that needs to be looked at and needs to be integrated in the way we do our management practices today. And that's an unwavering belief system, I think, that goes with every practitioner in Hawaii, every kupuna in Hawaii that understand that kuana ike. Now, is it something that is understood through the Western lens? Not all the time, but I believe there is an ability to go ahead and bridge the two. And when you can bridge the two and work collaboratively in understanding that both are valid and both are equally important, then we can uplift all of the kuleana that is necessary for our entire kaiāulu that we serve. You're correct that our resources are finite, and once we don't have any, and I believe Chair Lee also said that that water is that source of all life, and we need to be mindful about how that is managed, how it's cared for, and ideally how it's around in the next 7 generations. Yeah. That conversation should be ideally important in how we look at this particular resource and all of our resources, really.
Mahalo. My last question is regarding testimony that we received regarding the Cultural Resource Management Plan. Before the pandemic, I believe the Department of Planning contracted some folks from like Ohio or something, and they came to Molokai, and Molokai said, "No, thank you. We'll do our own." Anyway, so that was like right before COVID. So I don't know what happened with that contract. So I can try find out. Have you folks talked story with the planning department on updating the cultural resource management plan? I know it in the charter under section 8-8.3, the planning department is to prepare, administer, and enforce the cultural resource management plan. So it falls directly under their kuleana, their department. But I guess if you could share, and I think it also says in collaboration with the director of OEV Resources. So the Department of OEV Resources does play a role with the collaboration. And so for this specific document, the Cultural Resource Management Plan, has there been any discussion and forward-looking, how do you see Department of OEV's role in getting that going?
Mahalo, Chair. The testifier is absolutely correct. The Cultural Resource Management Plan is not been updated since 1984, which means our Cultural Resource Commission has been working from a plan from 1984. What year is this? This is 2024. 2025. Yeah, I'm off. We're almost in 26. And so it's important to update the Cultural Resource Management Plan. It is important to the Department of OEV, and we have had just one, I'm going to be very honest, just one conversation with the Department of Planning. I think we were shocked that the plan was from 1984, but we are quite shocked by a number of different, older plans that exist. I think what happens is it doesn't adequately identify or acknowledge the information that we've garnered since 1984 to 2025. And so it is really important to update that Cultural Resource Management Plan. I think it will give that commission especially a really good understanding of the cultural resources and their importance across Maui Nui. My understanding, though, is that the Cultural Resources Commission, kuleana, is to deal with the historic district areas on Maui. And so I don't know what the good solution is. Is it looking at defining additional historical districts across Maui so that our communities can feel secure that sensitive cultural areas will be acknowledged and cared for appropriately and respected in that way? I don't know if it is expanding kuleana for the Cultural Resources Commission. I don't know if planning is the most appropriate house now that there is a Department of OEV Resources, and I'm just being very honest, that it may be an opportunity to shift that commission or rehouse that commission in something that I think aligns better with the kuleana that they have. And the folks who have volunteered to work as members of the Cultural Resource Commission. So, we're committed to doing what we can to help update the management plan. And mahalo for that question. Mahalo.
Mahalo for that response. I look forward to working together with you on making some of those things happen. Okay. I will ask for a show of hands if there are any additional questions on this item. We have our second item. We can take a quick break and then we'll return. We are at bare quorum, so I'll need all three of you to come back while Member Polton is, juggling. Any other questions for this item? Okay, seeing no other questions. Wait, let me grab my notes just in case I miss anything. Okay. All right, okay, there is, this item was posted for no legislative action. So if there are no objections, I will defer this item. Any objections?
No objections.
Okay, mahalo members. Okay, it is 10:28, and we'll just 10:40. Is that good? Okay, all right. The Kōmike Aloha ʻāina is in recess until 10:40. Will the Kōmike Aloha ʻāina please return the order? It's 10:44 on Juneteenth. And we are on our second and final item of today, Maui County's transition to a bilingual government. Joining us for our second item is Deputy Director Kōmike Robinson of the Department of OEV Resources, as well as Director Molitau again. And we have with us Managing Director Josiah Nishita from Department of Management and a representative from Department of Corporation Counsel. Wait, I have to assign them under Rule 18 again. I'm not going to do it. All right. I've also invited Director David Rotz from Office of Counsel Services to be with us today. And we'll invite both Managing Director and Director Rotz to join us on the floor after the presentation. We'll proceed in this order. I'll invite Director to provide the presentation. I'll invite Managing Director to, if he has any opening remarks. And then we'll open up testimony and then the floor for questions, okay? Okay, we're working on the presentation. Oh, there we go. Okay. Director Molitau.
Ai, velina mai ke aloha ia kakoa pau ia kokomei nei, ma ke ia halawai nei, pilia nei ka ole aloha wai'i, no ke aupuni o ka kalana o maui nei. Ke mahalo anui a o kou, no ke ako kona mei, no ka ho'olohe ana mei, ia mako i ko mako ho ike no ke ia oihana. He oihana nui ke ia, he kuli ana nui ke ia, a he waiwai nui ke ia. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for allowing for the Department of OEV to continue to speak on this subject matter in regards to bilingual government. We are happy and proud to be able to go ahead and showcase a little bit about this presentation on bilingual government. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Deputy Director Kōmike Robinson, and we'll go back and forth.
Ai mahalo, aloha kakahiaka, mahalo to the chair, mahalo to our committee members of the Kōmike Aloha ʻāina. Excited to be here. It is a very momentous occasion. I feel like there is a lot to celebrate in this legislation. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Chair mentioned earlier, words have mana. Really look at this very initial slide that says bilingual government. I mean, it's incredible. We are in an incredible time where we have this opportunity to operate in Olelo Hawaii and in English as a county government. I want to go ahead and jump into it, and I think it's important to pay attention and bring to light again the background and how we got here. So, Olelo Hawaii is specific in its formality when we use it in a government setting. So there's casual language that we can use at home, casual language that we use amongst our friends and in the community. So this is an opportunity for us to further explore formal Olelo Hawaii in this government setting. It is worth re-examining and taking every opportunity to share how we got here and the history of how we got here so that we never again make the mistakes of the past. Up until 1900s, Olelo Hawaii was used in our government for government proceedings. In the illegal overthrow and the takeover of the Kingdom of Hawaii, assimilation was encouraged and enforced. And so the use of Olelo Hawaii, the support from the government, the funding decreased. And it resulted in the prioritization of foreign cultural lifestyles, including foreign language. English in Hawaii is a foreign language. And I was reminded of that yesterday by our staff as we spent time at the college. In 1978, through the Hawaii State Constitutional Convention, the Constitution was amended to include and designate Olelo Hawaii and English as official languages of the state of Hawaii. In 2022, Maui County voters established the OIV Resources Department. A lot of work went into that from our county, our council, our administration. And what I wanted to show here is that in 2024, so just a short few months ago, Bill 127 was introduced and it was passed unanimously. And I wanted to share that page. And it makes my heart so happy to see that it was unanimously approved. And you can see all 9 I. And I means yes in Olelo Hawaii too. And in English, you have that A, Y-E, but yeah, it's so important. And really, I'm just moved by this progress towards acknowledging Olelo Hawaii as one of the official languages. I wanted to show here how we align as a county with the state. You can see here that in the state constitution of Hawaii, what I refer to, the 1978 amendment, that English and Hawaiian shall be the official languages of Hawaii. The preamble of the charter of the county of Maui aligns with this Article 15 from the state. And it states that we, the people of the county of Maui, mindful of our Hawaiian history, heritage, and culture, and our uniqueness as a four-island county, dedicate our efforts to fulfill the philosophy of ua mau ke eo ʻāina i ka pono. That's so important. Bill 127 intends to support that in meaningful ways in our local government.
Just a little historical background on that particular terminology, ua mau ke ʻāina i ka pono. It was created by Kamehameha III, Kauikeaoli, and during his time as king, and during that time, that particular establishment of the Constitution, ua mau ke ʻāina i ka pono, is now translated that the life be perpetuated in righteousness. Today, that ua section is also translated as e mau, may it continue to be perpetuated in righteousness. Oyana.
Ay, mahalo. So you can see here, Bill 127, it's really 2 pages, 3 pages long. It's quite a small bill, but its impact is going to be enormous. And so I wanted to share that, that it is quite a short and sweet bill that, again, is momentous. The ordinance takes effect in September, but we've already been working with our boards and commission secretaries to collaborate on best practices and best process, and working on a model that is reasonable in timeline and work production. So what we're looking at is, according to Bill 127, all official public meeting agendas will now, must be published in English and Olelo Hawaii. So it does take effect in September. However, we have begun working with all of the secretaries of the different boards and commissions, of which there are 40, near 40. And we have reached out to the Office of Council Services. I know that they're in transition with Olelo Hawaii specialists in that department. But we also recognize that, especially for this committee, Ka'a committee, that there are translations even though it hasn't been mandatory, that have been taking place within the county. And so we acknowledge that and respect that you have been doing it, and hope we have opportunity to work with Office of Council Services in collaborating. I think right now for the Department of OEV Resources, we have been mainly concerned with reaching out to boards and commission secretaries to answer their questions, make sure they're comfortable, and see how we can collaborate and work together to accomplish this. So here's some important points that we wanted to make. So all official public meeting agendas must be posted in English and Olelo Hawaii beginning in September. But we wanted to point out that we are using July through September as kind of a test period, a transition period where we're going to work with the secretaries to mock, translate, and make sure the workflow is comfortable and reasonable and appropriate for everyone. 40 boards and commissions plus council committee meetings, and that's a big number to translate. In accordance and in conversation with Corporation Council, and the Sunshine Law requires that agendas be posted no later than 6 days in advance of the meeting. When we talked with the secretaries, some of them work a few weeks in advance, and sometimes meeting agendas are right up to the wire. So we are asking for some grace and opportunity for our department to have a reasonable amount of time to work with those agendas in translating them into Olelo Hawaii. OCS and OEV, we will collaborate. I know, again, OCS has Olelo Hawaii specialists in their department. And we're hoping that in our collaboration, we'll figure out what that workload looks like. But definitely we are looking forward to collaborating. That's the key, right? That's how we're all gonna get it done. What I wanted to especially point out that Corp Council was very clear with us is that the agenda in English and Olelo Hawaii must be published within the Sunshine Law's requirements. That means that if we're not provided with adequate time to translate the agenda and it doesn't get posted, there are the same consequences for when agendas do not get posted. And so the meeting may possibly be canceled. We hope that we never get there, but it is part of following this law. So secretaries, we've met with them. And we've talked about what is a reasonable amount of time, what is adequate for us to complete the work that we need to do. And I think there's going to be a couple of variables. So when it comes to adequate timing, so the length of the agenda is definitely going to drive what is a reasonable amount of time for translation. Also, we are currently working to prepare templates. So if you look at the agenda, there is sections, what we call mea ma'amau, or portions that are the same every time. So we can create templates that are already translated, and our Olelo Hawaii specialists will be just working with the portions of the agenda that are new. So that affects what adequate timing is are the templates ready for that? And the committee secretaries and the boards and commission secretaries have been really good about forwarding their templates for us to begin the work now. So there's a lot of preparation work that's happening, even though the law doesn't go into effect until September. There's a lot of prep work that we're doing right now in our department. And so I really have our OEV department, Olelo Hawaii specialists to thank for that, Kahealani Kolearo and Kepa Revel. Also, our department secretary, who is going to be directing and keeping us all in order, all on time, and, guiding who is working on what agenda. So thank you, Dee Dee. Anything else to add on that portion? So the transition is already beginning. We're already working on it. I'm going to show you kind of what we shared with the the boards and commission secretaries. So this is the flow chart, the workflow chart for translating agenda. So typically the secretary will create the agenda they will work with their board or their commission, OLA, and they will, or their committee to set the agenda. That agenda is forwarded to Corp Counsel and as a draft. And at that point, that's where OEV department would like the opportunity to start working on the translation. Understanding that there will be a final confirmation of that document. So when Corp Counsel returns the agenda to each of the boards and commission secretaries, that's the point where we finalize the document and return it to that board or commission secretary. They will finalize the agenda. We will make sure that it is exactly mirrored in ʻōlelo, Hawaii, and the secretaries are responsible for posting those agendas. So looking at the 6-day requirement, we need to work backwards with what that looks like. Again, depending on the length of the agenda, how involved it is, it really determine what the timeline looks like. And so we did an example of what that will look like. We took one of the advisory councils, the affirmative action from a past meeting, and did a short test run for us and how that would look and how that would work out. Now, I would point out, if you look at the translated agenda for the Kōmike Aloha ʻāina for today's meeting, you will see that the ʻōlelo Hawaii translation is integrated as a part of the agenda. In other words, there is one single agenda with ʻōlelo Hawaii and English on the single document. If you look at our example, there is an English agenda and there is an ʻōlelo Hawaii agenda. And so this is where I think our transition time and working with the document and working with the process and the flow is going to inform what that's going to look like. And I would just offer personally, when the agenda is when the agenda is translated and the ʻōlelo Hawaii is integrated into the agenda, if you look at that, it will always be subtext to the English. It's, the agenda has the English, and then beneath that, you will see the ʻōlelo Hawaii translation. And it is typically offset in its appearance and italicized to indicate that it's a different language. I'm not quite sure how the OEV department feels about having ʻōlelo Hawaii as the subtext to an English document. And I feel, and Director, you can chime in on this too, but my personal opinion is that the spirit of bilingual government is to uplift ʻōlelo Hawaii and put it in its rightful equal place with English.
So what you see there as an example is our Department of OEV Resources highly suggesting that ʻōlelo Hawaii be equally standing to your English agendas that you see in the example. So it's not considered subtext anymore.
And so my teacher hat says, wow, it's so great to have the English by the Hawaiian. If you have ʻōlelo Hawaii learners, they see it's integrated right there. So we don't quite, so we have a strong suggestion that let's accomplish this how it's written and in the spirit of how it's written to acknowledge them on equal footing. And maybe there are other, conventions that we can use to incorporate them as one document, perhaps, ʻōlelo Hawaii, then English, or something like that. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So here are some questions that came up when we met with the board and commission secretaries. And again, we have yet to hui with Office of Council Services. But what's the deadline for posting Olelo Hawaii? So the translated Olelo Hawaii agenda, including all of the revisions, changes, cancellation, it carries the same requirements, deadlines, consequences as the English agenda, and therefore our secretaries are asked to provide reasonable lead time for Olelo Hawaii translation. Kind of talked about that earlier. Are the other documents like attachments, meeting minutes, a lot of times in the agenda there are links or hyperlinks. Are they going to be translated as enacted by law? Olelo Hawaii translations are required, they're mandatory for official public meeting agendas only. So at this time, we don't imagine that we'll be translating any of the attachments to the agenda, minutes, any of the hyperlinks, because it may change where you get hyperlinked to. So we're gonna leave those there. And what kinds of support will Department of OEV Resources be providing to support this effort? So we're gonna go through that here, but some of the ways is we're providing our secretaries with a quick look desktop reference manual, an online resource, and we intend to hold quarterly workshops. One really good thing that came up out of providing support for the secretaries is they had mentioned a lot of times they do work with Olelo Hawaii, whether they have questions on how to use diacritical markings in the course of the work that they already do. And so they're excited to have an opportunity to dive deeper into Olelo Hawaii, and it will hopefully guide the other work that they do as well in doing that appropriately and correctly. So Department of OEV Resources, again, we hope to develop like a quick look manual so that the secretaries, if they have any questions in regards to some of these topics that we'll go over, they have something that's on their desk they can look at quickly. An online resource allows for us to update it. So if there's any updates, any additions, anything that they're concerned about that we can provide, lessons for or additional information for, an online resource would be very helpful because it allows for us to update. And it also allows us to add links to additional information. So if we have a secretary who really wants to dive into Olelo Hawaii, numbers, letters, and things like that, they will have a link to take them to additional information. Internally, and not listed here, but internally, our department is working on a lexicon and hopefully in the future, perhaps an advisory collective of Olelo Hawaii folk out in our community who can help to advise. It's really important, again, there is a difference between informal and formal language use. It's, there is at home Olelo Hawaii and really high level academic Olelo Hawaii. It's been 100 years since there have been, there has been the opportunity to conduct ourselves in Olelo Hawaii in a very formal setting like government. So developing that and looking at how we can expand and teach our community and provide for our community these resources. The County of Maui will be providing a high-level academic resource in Olelo Hawaii. It's incredible. Sorry. So some of the topics that we will be providing to our secretaries and our Office of Council Services is, of course, a timeline, but a list of common vocabulary words, common phrases, some information on perhaps contributing in some ways to the translation of the dates, the times. We don't want them to feel like it's their responsibility solely to try and translate. We definitely realize that Kuleana will belong with us. But there has been interest expressed in wanting to understand what that agenda looks like in Olelo, Hawaii. And so we want to, and we will work to help them expand their understanding of Olelo, Hawaii. And then finally, talking about our quarterly touch points, the opportunity to meet online and talk story with our Olelo Hawaii specialist, talk story with Kōmike and I about any questions they may have. A lot of times folks are like, I don't want to ask the question. I'm embarrassed. It's going to be a silly question. No, it's not. And you have us at your disposal. I hope the county secretaries and other employees will take advantage of that. So specifically geared for assisting and supporting our secretaries in serving Maui County's boards and commissions and OCS to support collaboration between the secretaries and then to receive feedback on how the process is going. So mahalo, and we're open for questions in regards to bilingual government. I know we're very excited to do so. So thank you.
Mahalo, so are we. Okay, before I open testimony, I will ask for any clarifying questions. Member Cook, do you have any questions?
Does it have to be a clarifying question?
Go ahead, ask your question.
Yes, I have a question. So the time frame for implementation of this, it's been a challenge to date, as you said in your introduction, for the staff to meet publishing guidelines, the criteria. I think part of that is because there's sometimes review interactions, modifications, changes to kind of the last minute as far as the proposed legislation or reso. So you may have already said it and I didn't catch it, but what's somewhat the timeline for implementation?
Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Member Cook, for the question. So we are still under the same laws, the Sunshine Law that requires that agendas be posted 6 days in advance. And it's going to be a learning curve for sure. I appreciate your question. I don't know that I have the answer, but I do hope that in our practice runs from July through September, we can figure out what that timing looks like. I fully understand that there may be revisions and changes or cancellations even that may happen last minute. And it has been an important concern to the secretaries as well. How do we handle that? We will find out. I don't have a better answer than that. Kind of like we're going to test it out.
That's a fine answer, and actually, it's a very accurate answer because none of us know, and it's a work in progress. And I said that not so much to, bracket you in of when this is going to happen, as to kind of just clarifying for myself and everybody that it's already challenging the legislative process. I think this hopefully will help all of us become more refined. But and my colleagues will laugh, but I'm going to work on my pronunciation, and I'm going to work on my diversity and being able to understand and speak better. Now, this might be inappropriate for a clarifying question. Having hearing aids is things, so I think I might have to spend some time up close with both of you, or whoever's doing the tutoring, and I think we can have fun doing that. I need to apologize to Chair because I have an 11:30 meeting, and so I need to leave and get ready. I want to thank you for your presentation, and wish you both a wonderful day.
Mahalo, Member Cook. Before you leave, I just wanted to express my appreciation for that commitment. Oh, you can't hear good? You want me to speak louder? Oh, now you're muted. I didn't hear what you said because you're muted, but you have to unmute first.
I apologize. I can hear you. I'm down to one hearing aid, so I'm using my left ear.
Oh, got it. I said I appreciate your commitment to Aloha Hawaii, to learning to pronunciate a little better. And I wanted to find out from you if you're going to start getting your agendas translated for VI committee.
I believe that's the intention, and so I'll work with staff, and that's the way forward.
Mahalo. Oh, yeah. Okay. And la mai ka'i. You have a good day as well.
Have a good day. Aloha.
Aloha. Okay, we'll open it up for public testimony. I see one individual on the list to testify. Oh, shoot. My computer is not working. Okay. James Langford. And also, members, we are down a bare quorum again, so please don't leave. Mr. Langford, if you would like
Hey.
Oh, there you go. Okay, we can hear you.
I'm unmuted. My hair is a little too fabulous to be on video, but hey, this is kind of a cool moment in time. So I got to testify on the first Bill 127, showing how English is an inferior way to communicate because it's literally the pidgin of German maritime law. So it's an inverse of Hebrew mathematically. So trusting in Olelo Hawaii truly allows truth to come through. And I just love you guys for dealing with all of the nuances that goes into bringing the truth to light under decades of hard time. Yeah, so God bless us all, and I think we're doing the right thing. I don't know. So I love you. Alice Lee, how do you keep a straight face when I tell all these jokes? Ooh la la, sister. All right, I love you guys. Take care. Get out of here, you goofs. Take care.
Mahalo, kia kua pu. Okay, anyone?
Aloha kako, yeah.
Aloha. Anyone else wishing to testify? Mr. Law?
Aloha ka'aha o ke kalana Maui, JC Law from Waiakoa, Ahupua'a, Kulauka. I appreciate the effort being made to put the agendas in Olelo Hawaiian, and reading it and speaking it kind of does something to your brain because one or the other doesn't really do the same thing as both of them together. And I'm pretty sure Queen Liliuokalani is happy wherever she is right now, and I'm happy in my na'au too, that I'm able to participate in this moment in time. And I'll use the analogy of the castaway again on an island. There's a spring, fresh spring water flowing, and you're thirsty. You just came up off the beach out of the salt water. And there's a barrel that says Made in USA water on it. Which one would you rather have? That's the question.
Mahalo, Ms.
Sorry, I wanted to express my confidence in Mr. Rotz, and you council members that are getting a raise. I hope you give Mr. Rotz a birthday present.
Seeing no hands for questions, well, thank you for your testimony today, Mr. Law. Mahalo. Okay, I'll do a last call for testimony. Anyone wishing to testify may unmute at this time and proceed with your testimony. Okay, hearing no one speaking up to testify, if there are no objections, we'll close public testimony on this item and proceed with questions. Any objections? And if there's any written testimony, we'll accept that into the record as well. Okay, I will invite Managing Director Nishita and OCS Director Rotz to join us on the floor, and then we can open it up to questions. I'll start. Chair's prerogative. So, you know, Olelo Hawaii has been enshrined as an official language in Hawaii Constitution. But this is the logistics and investment that's required to actualize Olelo Hawaii as an official language. Otherwise, it's just words on a paper. I guess, you know, as we're talking about how we would make this work, one of the benefits was that, my time's up. That it would give the administration an opportunity to standardize the agendas for all the many boards and commissions, and that, you know, would have value in and of itself. So I guess we're working through it, and there was a question there, but I guess I'll go to Director Rotz first then. Okay. Director Rotz, you didn't want to join us on the floor?
I'm fine here, thank you.
Okay. All right. So, you know, they're working through 40-ish, 41 boards and commissions, and figuring out what resourcing, capacity, you know, staffing will be required for, you know, to carry out the kuleana of translating all those agendas in that very short time frame. We have 8 committees, and my committee was supposed to be the pilot, and then all the other committees, you know, follow suit. And that hasn't happened. And it's not OCS's responsibility, it's our responsibility as the council members. So we have 8 committees, and then, shucks, I didn't invite the clerks, but Chair Lee's here, so she can speak to that question, which is about translating the council agenda. Okay, so does OCS have the capacity to translate the 8 committee agendas?
Thank you, Chair. We appreciate the opportunity to comment. And first, I want to say I thank the Department of EV Resources for that excellent presentation and the spirit of cooperation. We look forward to working with the department as we move forward on this project. And as you mentioned, Chair, the Aloha Hawaii is an official state language. So while I agree with the Deputy Director, this is a milestone and it's a momentous occasion, it's actually expected, I would say, since the 1978 Constitutional Convention. So I appreciate the council in enacting this ordinance to establish the requirement, giving us some lead time, and the work that our Hawaiian language communication specialist has done in the pilot project with this committee has been very informative and helpful. And we would welcome, as you alluded to, other committee chairs following suit and doing some practice runs of Aloha Hawaii meeting agendas before the September 1st requirement kicks in. But the short answer to your question, we believe we do have the capability, and we look forward to working with all the committee chairs and with the department in moving forward and complying with this ordinance. Thank you.
Mahalo for that response. And then I guess follow-up question to Chair Lee for, so that's committee agendas, which is under OCS purview, and then the clerks is responsible for the council agenda. So Chair Lee, do you think we will be able to get our council agendas going?
Eventually, maybe not 7 generations. Maybe
oh, thank goodness.
No, the county clerk has fewer resources, as you know. So I think it might take a little longer. And for those of you who don't know, the committee agendas normally consist of 2 or 3 items. So it's not very lengthy, except for maybe the budget committee, that's very lengthy. But my agenda usually consists of 60 or 70 items. So it's long, and so we would have to have somebody full-time on it. So it's going to take time, but we'll get there.
All right, at least we have the assurance that it won't take 7 generations. But you do have the deadline of September of this year. Okay. Okay, I have more questions, but I'll open it up to the members for any other questions. Just by a show of hands. Committee Vice Chair Bolton.
Thank you, Chair. I thought it was just gonna happen for us. I didn't know we had to do the work because I don't post the agenda. I mean myself, you know. It's the OCS staff that is assigned to our committee that does it. But I really enjoyed the conversation about how to put it on the agenda, and if all things are equal, is there a problem with putting English below subtext to Olelo Hawaii? For anyone? Lawyers? People?
I think maybe we can ask Director Rotz. That was one of the questions I was gonna ask with OIP. And I know the state legislature does lead with Olelo Hawaii, and I think the Honolulu Council also has some things that lead with Olelo Hawaii with English as the subtext or the translation below.
No, for educational purposes, like Deputy said.
Oh yeah, you mean integrated, but English below with
yeah.
Hawaiian.
Because when it's equal but separate, I guess, it's not as much education or not as easy educational because you got to look at this one and then look at this one. But if they're on the same page educational, it's kind of easier. And if subtext doesn't necessarily denote unequal, does it matter which one is the subtext? And because traditionally English is the unsubtext.
So the formatting of my committee agenda was designed by me. And the reason I decided to integrate and not have separate documents is because I didn't want Olelo Hawaii to not be looked at. When we were discussing the logistics as they're discussing now, I went through the process of what will it look like. And you have to format it in a way that, you'll be able to read it clearly, that the dates and the, public notice, that, certain things are highlighted so that it's easy for the public to see immediately. If it initially it was going to be, the English was going to, or the proposal was for the English to be posted to comply with Sunshine Law as the notice requirement, and then Olelo Hawaii be an attachment. And that I felt was definitely not equal. And so that was part of why I integrated them, so that it would be one document to comply with Sunshine Law.
And now that that path has already been forged, could we say we want it like a committee, but we want the English to be the subtext?
Yeah, so Director Rotz works the most closely with OIP. And I don't know, I don't think, we'll just ask Director Rotz.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember. Yeah, I think, again, because Aloha Hawaii is an official language under the State Sunshine Law, which governs our meeting agendas and furthers open government principles, I don't think the Office of Information Practices would tell us that there's anything wrong with having Aloha Hawaii come first or vice versa. And I think we would work with each committee chair on formatting your meeting agendas. I don't think they all have to be uniform necessarily. You know, especially as we're going to be in a trial period for a little while, we could try a couple of different formats. But so we'll try to be as flexible as we can based on each committee chair's preference. Thanks.
And then logistically, would I tell you right now or do a PAF or an
So how would the
email?
council members indicate to OCS that they would like to have their agendas translated?
And mine would go something like, I'd like it to be exactly like Ka'a committee, but flip the English and Olelo Hawaii. Would that
Well,
be?
we're going to do that, so.
Or then I'd like it to be exactly like Ka'a committee. Would it be okay to say something like that?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember. Yes, so each committee chair, we would recommend that you express your intentions to your lead legislative analyst who has the primary responsibility of putting together your meeting agendas. And just as a quick aside, while we're talking about logistics and again, alluding to what the Department of EV Resources mentioned, translation takes time, and we would encourage our committee chairs to please keep that in mind as we're putting together meeting agendas, and maybe give your legislative analyst a little bit more advance notice than has been the standard for some committees. Thank you.
I guess like mostly for my committee, we're working off a master agenda, and then occasionally we'll throw in some 7Bs out of nowhere. And so maybe in the free time, they could begin the translation of the master agenda items that are possibly pulled out as sooner than later, or we can indicate on the master agendas, don't need to translate this because it probably won't see the light of day, or things like that.
Thank you, Chair. That's a great idea. Thank you.
And then I guess previously we had heard that denationalization is a war crime, and not being able to speak the language and like that. So then this is kind of taking active steps to undenationalize or nationalize? Or we're not familiar with international law?
Thank you, Chair. I wouldn't call myself an expert in international law, and I don't feel competent to register an opinion on that comment at the moment, but thank you for raising it.
Undenationalizing.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll yield to my colleagues.
Okay, Charlie?
Question for you, David. Okay, so Nalani is still with us, and she's the chief person to do translations. And I know we were looking for somebody, a second person. Did we hire that person?
Thank you, Committee Chair, and thank you, Council Chair, for that question. So yes, we do have a position, Hawaiian Language Communication Specialist, Ms. Fujihara, who is our translator on staff. We're very fortunate to have her working with us. We did actually recruit to get a second Hawaiian Language Communication Specialist, knowing that this ordinance was headed our way. We were unsuccessful, unfortunately, in that recruitment. So as you may recall, during the budget session, we didn't ask for additional funding for that position to actually be part of OCS. If somehow the right candidate presented themselves to us, we would work with the council to try to get that person on board. It would definitely be a benefit to have a second translator on staff, but we don't have that capability right now. So we may very well need to, at some point, contract out assistance with translation with community members who have expertise, maybe through the University of Hawaii at Manoa or other institutions. So it is a concern. Thank you for raising that.
Okay. Of course, you could ask the deputy or director here for help. Yeah, that's one of the concerns. It's not that easy to find good interpreters, but we'll keep trying. Thanks.
I think if we increase the pay, it may attract more people. Okay. All right. Member Sinensi, did you have any questions?
Hello, Chair, and I didn't have any questions just yet, but mahalo for this. I did want to recognize the again and share in the, the gravity of this moment. I'm reminded of all the things that we did to get to this point. We did visit last week with some Native American tribes, and a lot of these Native American tribes, they too are grasping on to their native languages too. And I know some of the tribal members have followed the Punana Leo Hawaiian model to increase more native speaking in their schools. So, and then of course, looking at all the different the books and the newspapers and all the things that our kupuna did during the 1800s, so that we could still have our Olelo Hawaii today. So I just wanted to congratulate everybody and the work that has been made up to this point. And e ola mau kako, mahalo.
Mahalo, Member Senensi. Okay. Any other questions, members? Okay, I have questions then. For OEV department. Yeah, I think OEV, or managing director. We discussed the rollout. So from September, well, we're working on it now, to September, when the target date of having all committee boards and commissions agendas translated and then posted Mako Olelo Hawaii. Okay, two questions. One, do we have the enough resourcing, staffing to get that done? And then two, are we eventually going to, is it going to be centralized, or are there thoughts to have folks in the other departments that staff multiple boards and commissions to have someone in their department?
Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Chair, for the question. I will say this, we've had that similar discussion within our department, amongst department deputy director and myself, in regards to what this would look like. We also have two Hawaiian language specialists on board, and knowing the workload is a heavy lift. There are particular components that are in place that are a mea ma'amau, as we say it in Olelo Hawaii, that are the standards that would always be translated to. So those are not the, once we set those in place, those should be made ka'i, those should be ready to go. I think the construct of the actual agenda items are going to always be something that is time sensitive for our staff to be ready for. Is it central right now? It will be. I believe our goal is to eventually see that Olelo Hawaii components, or even Olelo Hawaii specialists, are found in other departments, so that collaborative effort can build upon an existing lexicon that we are creating currently. That will be an exciting time, I think, for the County of Maui and all of its departments, once we raise that bar of Hawaiian language, not only translators, but speakers within each of the departments, to be able to have these pala, or these documents in place in a timely manner. And then we can see the evolution of where we want to go from there.
Chair, if I can just add, kind of an operational perspective. I'm glad Councilmember Paulton brought this up previously about the master agendas, because not all boards and commissions, function similarly to committees, in that they would have more of a similar kind of operational perspective that council would have with the clerk's office, in that many of them do not have all their, what is going to go on the agenda ahead of time. So as you folks may be more familiar with what's happening, what happens with the posting of council agendas is routinely you'll get stuff up till 11:59 a.m. of the deadline for posting. And there are many times that we're there through the night, just getting the English version out within the posting deadline. And I think new information maybe that has developed since some of the earlier discussions was, the still subject to potentially the, OIP and sunshine law requirements in terms of posting deadlines. So I think in terms of like operational impacts, especially as you look at like time for translation for some of these boards and commissions, or for council who may not have their items ahead of time, or know, like they're picking and choosing from items to post, you may need to, evaluate a extension of the, the posting requirement. So like council, you have noon 7 days prior, you might need to consider moving that forward to allow more time for that translation to occur, seeing as they won't have the information ahead of time. And it's similar to some other boards and commissions too. We may need to evaluate when items can actually get onto the agenda to afford that opportunity if it will be subject to those requirements. So just a matter of perspective and thoughts for consideration.
Mahalo. And then I have a follow-up question for our council agendas. So some of the items that we post on our council agendas are transmittals from the administration. Would the administration be able to send a translation for those items for posting?
So for the council agenda, all that gets posted on the agenda is the bill titles or the resolution title or like a subject matter of a county communication. If you're saying can the bill titles or resolution titles be translated prior, I mean that's potentially possible. We are also working on items up till 11:58 a.m. that then get run downstairs at 11:59 a.m. So, and some things are very, urgent and critical and whatnot. So it's just some things that we'll have to consider about being able to meet posting deadlines and whatnot, in which case things may just have to end up being delayed to meet the requirements. But it's just practical considerations to think about.
Mahalo, Managing Director. Committee Vice Chair Bolton. Okay.
I'll yield to Ms. Trenholm.
Deputy Corp Counsel Trenholm.
Thank you, Chair. One other piece on the flow chart, it says it goes to Corp Counsel, but also for the boards and commissions, there's the chairs that ultimately approve the agendas, and they're volunteers. So sometimes they have full-time jobs or responsibilities. So that's one operational piece we might want to consider too, that they can get back to us as quickly as, full-time county employees.
Mahalo. Committee Vice Chair Bolton.
Thank you. I had a question on the presentation from the Deputy Director when she was speaking about at-home olelo and the formal olelo for government. My English is not formal good English when I speak, and I assume my olelo is also not formal good olelo, but when I check my minutes and committee reports and legislation, the English is gooder.
They're verbatim.
More good.
So however we say it is how it shows up on the meeting minutes, because our committee meetings are verbatim.
Committee report and legislation is more good. And is that how it is for formal government olelo? Like when you speak, it's how you speak, but the writing part has to be the formal government olelo.
Mahalo, thank you so much for bringing that up. I think it was important to bring up that there are different levels of formality in all languages. And so I appreciate you acknowledging that. When the question you're asking is kind of like, are we, is there a much different language? And with my teacher hat on, we always point out to everyone that there are, if you have one thought, there are 40 different ways to express that in Hawaiian. And so what this opportunity allows for is the opportunity to use more higher, more better, higher, more gooder opportunities for higher level academic Hawaiian language use.
College vocabulary.
Yeah, the college vocabulary versus, and not only the vocabulary, but the phrasing, the opportunity to use more advanced sentence patterns. The possibilities are, going to be pretty, or become pretty apparent what we'd like to, or how we'd like to say certain things as a county. And it's important, again, back to the very first piece that Chair brought up, words have mana. And so expressions, idioms, however we are going to express that, I think what's going to happen is we will start thinking in Hawaiian as well. And so our values and our character is going to start aligning with the language that we're using. It's an opportunity for us to return to those values, those characteristics through language. Is it going to be much more difficult for the everyday Olelo Hawaii speaker, someone who can communicate in Hawaiian? It may challenge you. It will definitely challenge us as well as interpreters, as translators, to look at how government was conducted, what kind of words and patterns and, grammar did they use when government and politics was conducted in Olelo Hawaii. These are all incredible pursuits that the County of Maui is allowing for right now. And so, yeah, going to be good-ish, yeah.
You finished?
When I
Okay.
came onto this council, I wasn't able to continue as much in Papa Olelo for immersion, for my children's immersion, because we were doing the West Maui Community Plan and they meet a lot of nights. So being on this council is not the excuse, but I'm not where I could be. And when I was in the Papa Olelo and trying to think to translate, for me the easiest way was to read the sentence in English, translate for me into Pidgin, and then translate it into Hawaiian. And my grandmother raised me mostly when I was little, when my mom was working, and she didn't speak good English, so like Pidgin would be kind of my first language, and then I would get in trouble at home for speaking Pidgin. And my mom made like she never speak Pidgin. And then when I went to college in the mainland, I'm like, oh my goodness, everything you say. And she's like, I do not speak Pidgin, or I speak good English. And I'm like, what is Pau? Pau is not good English. But I think that's why my English is not that good, or it's not that good, but it helped me when I was in Hawaiian language class to be a makua for an immersion student, for the syntax or sentence structure, to think from English to Pidgin, Pidgin to Hawaiian. It was the bridge for me. But I imagine that the Pidgin English syntax is not necessarily the government formal Olelo syntax, sentence structure. So then I would be starting from scratch. Me and Member Cook, we can be in the same classes. Go ahead.
Shirley.
I can see the challenges, but I can see also it's okay to not be perfect, the interpretation to not be perfect, because we will have a recording in writing and a regular recording of the meeting. And so, you know, whatever the translation is, doesn't have to exactly match the English version, as, you know. And there's always a beginning, and this is a trial period, and, you know, we have to be flexible. But I have a question about the language. When I talk to my dog, which is every day, I talk to her in some Hawaiian words. So why is it that the Hawaiians repeat the words, like when I tell her, time to moi moi, or kau kau? Why do you say moi moi? I mean, is it one moi or two mois? No, really. I mean, do you repeat? Is that the normal to repeat certain words? Kau kau, moi moi,
Yes,
au au, you know?
The quick answer is yes. It's called a reduplication. If you, one of the greatest resources is our Puke Vehe Vehe Olelo Hawaii, the Hawaiian Language Dictionary. And the reason why it's one of our incredible resources is in the beginning of the book, there are a lot of grammatical, opportunities to learn the grammar of Hawaiian, because it is not a language that is born of English. I think there are many Polynesian languages that are related to each other, and it is as distant as it can be from a language like English. I would share that in the past, I've had students who don't speak English and only speak Japanese. But because Japanese aligns so closely with Hawaiian, was easier for them to grasp Olelo Hawaii, because it was very similar. Like Member Paulton brought up, the arrangement and the pronunciation of vowels and consonants, the use of words and the thought patterns were very similar. And so, again, English couldn't be further from the Polynesian language family. So it's an interesting relationship between English and Hawaiian. And so even though we cannot, we can get very close to an English translation, it's always an equivalency. So as close as we can get, as close as equivalent to what English is saying. Sometimes we have to go ahead and dive deeper into, well, what's the root meaning? What are you trying to get across in English? And so it's not a literal translation. So these are all the activities and opportunities that as translators, we're gonna be deep diving into as we get into this legislation that requires for agendas to be translated. And again, we look to OCS and thank them for the work that they've done in the past with Nalani. We look forward to working even more closer with her. And mahalo.
Okay.
And kau kau is Pidgin.
Oh yeah,
right?
Pidgin.
I didn't know that.
And Pidgin.
Plantation. From
Pidgin is another interesting.
I didn't know. I thought it was
Because I
Hawaiian.
think Olelo Hawaii would be mea ai.
Yeah.
But my mom said that when dinner was ready, it would be like makau and maybe that could be something. I don't know, but it's Pidgin, right? It's kinda
Yeah,
hard
because
when you
it's
speak
actually
Pidgin.
it's not any other language. It's not Chinese. It's not Filipino. It's not Japanese. But that's the first time I heard anyone theorize that it's from Makoko.
That's what I don't know.
I think some of the
She's
historical
not Hawaiian.
perspective of that terminology, cocoa, comes from the time when they used to have the cocoa tin, and that's where they would put all of the food. And so cocoa would reference into that particular tin, and this is during the plantation era that they would utilize that terminology. Yeah. And then really quickly to the pigeon component, which is a kind of a Ike Hawaii component, like the more better term, we would refer that to the terminology oyaku kameikai, which would be then translated to more good or more better, more gooder. Yeah. And that you know, it just elevates that consciousness that it is an actual language on its own that we can utilize to help elevate even our little Hawaii concepts. Yeah.
Mahalo kumu. Is that, wait, did you say 10? Like, or, and that's,
A cocoa tin can where you would put all your food in when, like your bento plate.
oh, so it's from Japanese?
I think it was a conglomeration of, you know, you had all of the different ethnic cultures, and when they would come and all helemei or come and eat, folks that had food within their containers, that container would be considered a cocoa container.
So it's like musubi. It's like, it's born in Hawaii, but it's not Hawaiian or any other specific culture. Like like Manapua. Okay, any other, oh, I see, Member Nancy.
Hello, Chair. I just wanted to share, yesterday, we had a testifier named Kamana'oi'o. And so when we kept saying Kamana'oi'o, the word was familiar, but we didn't know where we heard it before. So we ended up, okay, it's from a song, Kamana'oi'o, Kamana'olana, and then, both Councilmember Nohe and I came to the conclusion it was the Himene e Kolumea Nui. And so I think if a lot of our Hawaiian songs, if you look for they come with English too. So, I mean, I think I learned a lot of the Hawaiian from Hawaiian songs and Himene too. So that's another way to kind of translate Hawaiian to English. I thought that was funny yesterday.
Mahalo, Member Nancy. Okay, any other questions? Oh, follow-up question for classes since we're talking about it. Do you have any updates that you can share with us and how council members or staff or OCS would be able to find out about the partnership or any progress?
Thank you, Chair. You referring to the Bill 117 partnership with UH and the classes there. So we've been in contact with them. We're taking this summer to schedule with the University of Hawaii Maui campus and their coordinators to go ahead and schedule the classes as we've outlined. Some of the classes will be conducted and administered through the Department of OEV Resources, especially some of the classes and workshops that we added. So for example, EV Kupuna and the care of ancestral burials. And so there was a list, I think, of about 14 different workshops. So we're working it out with UH. We should be able to have a schedule for county employees by the end of summer, and we're looking at starting as near as this fall to go ahead and host some of the classes. It will be, we're still working this out with the University of Hawaii, but what we intend to do is open up the class to county employees and have an in-person component, and that in-person component would host maybe 20 to 30 employees, and then record that session and make that available to county employees to access the video and that information. And then in specific regards to learning opportunities for our county employees, specifically for the board and commission secretaries, support staff, even we would open it up to commission and boards chairs if they were interested in not only having access to the resources that we will provide and but attending and joining us on our quarterly workshops. So like Kumu mentioned, it's centralized for now between Department of OEV and the Department of Council Services. We will work together. Our translators, we hope, will collaborate together and support each other. But this is an interesting point that was made by some of our secretaries. They are very interested in learning Olelo Hawaii. And so part of, and the dream to possibly decentralize it from OEV and install folks in each of the departments is this opportunity to possibly train staff that is already in different departments and elevate their understanding and their engagement with Olelo Hawaii to the point where they may be able to also become translators themselves. And so the dream would be that we would work with board secretaries who are interested and invested in it. It could get to the point where they translate it and they provide it to us and we would paka, or we would edit. We would review and edit. That could be, I mean, an amazing opportunity to grow the skills of our own county employees. The dream. Mahalo.
I love it. Mahalo. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Final remarks? Closing remarks?
Mahalo, Chair. Just final remarks that we are living right now in a time that is an amazing historical component of the Kalanoa Maui, the county of Maui. We have an opportunity to uplift not only our Olelo Hawaii, but our county government in a manner in which is, I think for those kupuna that are just on the other side of the veil, would be proud of watching and listening to. And so I will share this last thought that my own kupuna would tell me. And he would say, Nana I Hawaii ku'umaumaka. Look at Hawaii through my eyes. And if you look at Hawaii through my eyes, you will see what is important. That I believe is a olelo no eau that I live by daily, and that Hawaiian perspective of language will continue to grow and to see an amazing Kalanoa Maui be a part of this historical moment and push to elevate our language of this ʻāina, language of this land is one that I think here, us at the Department of OEV, we say pakana'au. Pakana'au is a word that means, straight to the gut. It feels really, really good. And so we look forward to being a part of this process. We know it's a lot of work, and we look forward to the work. Ola.
Yola. Mahalo, Director Molitao, Deputy Director Robinson, Managing Director Nishita, and OCS Director Ratz for being with us. If there are no objections, members will we'll defer this item. Any objections? No objections. Okay, mahalo. It's 12:03 on Juneteenth, and the Kōmike Aloha ʻāina is now adjourned.